Hello, so this is for the subject Managerial Accounting for HR students, and the topic of this video is cost allocation. So we have here an article from corporatefinanceinstitute.com. Okay, so yung cost allocation, ito yung process of identifying, accumulating, and assigning cost to cost objects. Okay, so di ba before, we've already studied the different types of cost na nai-incur ng isang business. Okay, especially yung manufacturing companies. Alright? So, merong iba't ibang types of cost na nai-incur, and in the process of producing products, kailangang kumbaga i-classify yung types of cost na yon. Tapos yung magkakapareho or of similar nature, pinagsasama siya. Okay? Cost accumulation yung tawag doon. Of course, you have your identifying the different types of costs so that you can, classify them. And then yung magkakapareho ng classification, you accumulate the amounts nila. Okay? Tapos kapag na-accumulate mo na yung cost, then it's time to assign them to cost objects. Normally, yung cost objects, ito yung products or product lines ng business. Okay? Ayan. So, yung cost allocation, other types of cost objects, normally it's the products or the product lines, but it could also be the departments, programs, or a branch of a company. Okay? It involves identifying the cost objects in a company. After ng cost objects, ina-identify din yung cost incurred by the cost objects, and then assigning the cost to the cost objects based on specific criteria. Ayan. So, medyo malito yung terms, but there you have it. Alright? Mamaya may example naman tayong ipapakita on the allocation. So, carry lang. Okay. So, ito. Yung Department Cost Center, meron siyang total cost na $500. Yung allocation nito, ganito. Yung Project A, bali 50% of the cost ang na-incur niya. So, yung $500 na total cost multiplied by the 50% allocation kasi yun yung ginagamit for Project A. So, ang kanyang cost to be allocated for this one is $250. Okay? And then you have Product 1. Si Product 1, na-incur naman niya yung 30% of the total cost. So, yung 500 times 30%, $150 yung i-allocate sa kanya. Okay? And then you have your miscellaneous cost na $100. Okay? Ito medyo simplified pa. Kasi direct na binanggit kung, how much percentage ang na-incur ng isang particular cost object. Ito, cost objects to mga to. Projects, products, or cost pool na miscellaneous cost. Right? When costs are allocated in the right way, the business is able to trace the specific cost objects that are making profits or losses for the company. Okay, so di ba yung mga cost objects natin, nag-i-incur sila ng cost, but there are some na nag-i-earn din ng revenue o di kaya ng profit, di ba? In the previous discussion, responsibility accounting, we have the different types of responsibility centers. Merong cost center, profit center, revenue center, investment center, right? So, for revenue centers or profit centers, yung mga kumikita, tapos nagkakaroon din ng cost, syempre kino-compute, di ba, yung bottom line natin, profit. So, sa proper allocation ng cost, kunwari, itong si Project A, 50% pa talaga yung na-incur niya na cost. Kung tama yan, na 50%, edi i-absorb niya itong $250 na cost. So, let's say, yung Project A, naka-earn siya ng $300 in revenue. So, 300 na revenue minus 250 na cost. So, kumita siya ng $50 pa. Right? Tapos, ito, kunwari si Product 1 naman. Kung tama, na 30% of cost yung nagastos niya, amounting to $150. Tapos, kumita lang siya ng $100. Okay? So, 100 minus 150, nalugi siya ng $50. Okay? So, kung properly allocated yung cost natin, dun mo madedetermine ng maayos kung profitable ba or nagsasuffer na ba ng losses yung isang particular cost object. Alright? Paano kung mali yung, process of allocation? So, kunwari ito, instead of 50%, ang na-allocate sa kanya ay 60%. Okay? Kasi nga, merong, different methods of allocating the cost. So, let's say yung nagamit na method sa kanya, ang na-allocate is 60% instead of 50. So, 60% ng 500 is 300, right? So, di ba yung kanina, 300 yung revenue niya, tapos kung 60% ng 500 yung cost, which is also 300, edi ang lalabas ay break-even lang itong si Project A. Break-even as in walang kinita, pero hindi rin naman siya lugi. Okay? Tapos itong si Product 1, let's say instead of 30%, ang na-allocate lang sa kanya ay 20%. So 20% ng 500 is 100. Right? Yung nabanggit natin kanina, ang revenue niya ay $100 lang. Okay? So 100 na revenue minus 100 na allocated cost, ang lalabas, 0 din siya or break-even din. Hindi siya lugi, pero hindi rin siya kumikita. Okay? So, in that case, kumbaga, merong difference, right? Kanina, kumikita siya, pero nung ginamitan mo siya ng another method, lumalabas break-even lang siya. Etong isa, si Product 1, kanina lumalabas ay loss siya ng $50, pero nung ginamitan siya ng another method, lumalabas ay break-even lang din siya. Okay? So, in that sense, yung pagpili ng cost allocation method, it's very important, di ba, for the business to determine kung ano ba talaga yung performance ng isang project or ng isang product. Kumikita ba talaga or hindi, right? So, kasi nga, merong yun, cost allocation methods. Allocation siya in a way na hindi mo naman talaga masasabi na, di ba, yung very accurate na ito talaga yung how much has been incurred by a particular project or product. So, kumbaga best estimate din lang siya. But, there are methods that consider relevant factors. Okay? Unlike the others na minsan yung ginagamit na basis in allocating the cost is hindi naman relevant or in a way not really affecting the cost object, either yung projects or yung product. Okay, tapos nang tumahol ang dogs. Continue natin. Alright, so when costs are allocated in the right way, the business is able to trace the specific cost objects that are making profits or losses for the company. So yun na nga, madidetermine ng maayos kung alin ba talaga ang kumikita at kung alin yung naglo-loss na. Of course, kung kumikita, edi ipagpatuloy, bigyan ng, you can allocate more resources for that, diba? Dagdagan nyo ng budget para makapag-produce ng mas marami ng product na yon since kumikita naman yung product line or yung project. But if yung particular project or product is suffering losses na baka syempre mag-decide yung company na wag na lang natin ituloy. Itigil na natin yung pagpo-produce ng product na yan since nalulugi lang naman tayo in producing that. Okay? So, meron ganong types of instances. If costs are allocated to the wrong cost objects, the company may be assigning resources to cost objects that do not yield as much profits as expected. Okay? So, di ba yung example natin kanina? Nung una, kumikita si Project A, tapos losses si Product 1. Tapos nung ikalawa na, another method ang ginamit, lumalabas, pareho lang silang break-even. Di ba? So, in that sense, baka mamali ng decision na gagawin yung management natin. Right? And another is, tawag dito, nakaka-affect din siya sa decision making on setting prices. Diba? Siyempre, kinumpute mo kasi yung cost na ginamit in producing a particular product. So, let's say, per unit, akala mo 100 pesos yung nagagastos to produce a product. So, magtataka ka ngayon sa market, bakit yung ibang company, binibenta nila for only 90 pesos yung product na yon? Samantalang tayo, compute natin, 100 pesos na yung nagagastos natin in producing pa lang yung product. So, dadagdagan pa natin yan ng markup. Pag binenta natin, siguro mga 110 or 120, pero bakit sila mas mababa yung price, right? Pero syempre, that's one of the strategies din kasi ng company to gain customers, di ba? Yung pababain yung presyo. So, syempre, hahabulin mo dapat yon. So, pagpapatuloy mo pa ba yung pag-produce ng product na yan kung 100 pesos yung cost mo? Tapos, ibibenta mo ng mataas na price. Samantalang meron kang competition na 90 pesos lang yung benta. Ayan. So, yun naman yung effect niya with regards to making decisions on pricing. Okay, so meron ditong types of cost, pero skip na natin. Ito naman ay na-discuss na natin before. So you have your direct cost, normally direct materials and direct labor. You have your indirect cost, or the so-called overhead cost din sila. Some indirect costs are included in the overhead, pero not all, right? Ayan. Cost allocation mechanism. So, syempre, identify muna yung cost object. Products ba yan? Project? Or branch ng company? Or cost center. Tapos, accumulate cost into a cost pool. Okay, yung similar types ng cost natin. Diba? Kung direct materials yan, na ginastos for this project or cost object, or di lagay mo doon, direct materials, direct labor normally ay properly identified yan. Ang tapos, yung indirect cost or yung overhead cost, yun lang naman normally yung kinakailangang i-allocate. Okay? Kasi kunwari, rent ng factory building, paano mo i-allocate yung cost ng rent? Okay? Indirect siya na cost, pero syempre dahil necessity siya or necessary para ma-produce yung product. Kasi kung wala namang, facility, sa natin isa-set up yung machinery, sa natin gagawin yung products, right? So, it's an overhead. Tapos, kailangan i-allocate mo siya dun sa mga products ng company. Now, the question is, how do you allocate that? Okay, ano yung pagbabasehan mo? Number of units ba na na-produce? Or equally ba? I-divide mo na lang siya sa number ng product lines or products na meron yung company? Or are you going to consider yung space na na-occupy ng particular product? So, let's say, itong si product A, ano lang naman, kalahati lang naman ng building, yun ang occupy niya kapag pinoproduce siya. Tapos itong si product B, ano lang naman, konti lang naman, mga 1/4 lang ng facility. And then product C, 1/4 lang din, ganyan. Okay, so another way, kumbaga another basis for allocating the cost. So, ayan. What is a cost driver? Ito nga, yung cost driver na tinatawag is, it's what causes a change in the cost associated with an activity. Okay, so kunwari yung rent nga, di ba ang nirerentahan mo naman yung facility? So since facility yung nirerentahan, how does it relate to the product? Okay, so yan, I think dun sa mga nabanggit natin kanina, the best basis or the most relevant basis there would be yung space na na-occupy nung products, okay, during the production process or even after they are already, produced, okay. Tapos kunwari, machineries, gumagamit ng machinery for producing the product. So let's say, etong si product A, to be able to produce 1 unit, let's say, gumagamit siya ng 1 oras or 1 oras siya dun sa machinery, okay. Or, huwag namang 1 oras. Let's say, 10 minutes, ganyan. Tapos, itong si product B, syempre, medyo mas complicated si product B, kunwari. Instead of 10 minutes, inaabot siya ng 15 minutes before siya ma-produce or every time dumadaan siya dun sa machinery. Ayan. Then, you have another product, let's say, medyo matagal. Let's say, 30 minutes siya dun sa machinery. So, in that sense, yung time spent ng isang unit or ng isang product dun sa machinery na yun yung magiging cost driver niya. So, ang pagbabasehan mo, pag inallocate mo yung cost of operating the machinery, edi, syempre, i-consider mo yung time spent ng product in that particular machinery or equipment, right? Or assembly. So, ayun. Yun yung cost driver natin. Tapos, last part ito ng article, benefits ng cost allocation. Some of the reasons why cost allocation is important to an organization, especially to a business. So, ito first is nag-assist in the decision-making process. Of course, more reliable yung figures or amounts na makocompute mo kapag relevant yung basis mo in the allocation of cost to the products. Provides management with important data about cost utilization they can use in making decisions. Shows the cost objects that take up most of the costs and helps determine if the departments or products are profitable enough to justify the cost allocated. Tapos for unprofitable cost objects, the management can cut the cost allocated and divert the money to other more profitable cost objects. Okay? Tapos yung second reason, helps evaluate and motivate staff. So, di ba we have responsibility accounting previously. Tapos yung, of course, di ba, delegated yung decision making sa mga heads ng department. So, pwedeng maging, basis, tawag dito, maging better basis siya in evaluating their performance. Syempre, more accurate yung figures, edi much better measure of their performance. Unlike yung waso-waso lang na allocation, di ba, i-divide mo equally, pero hindi naman karapat-dapat na equally kasi merong, much better basis on distributing the cost, ganyan. And, by using more accurate figures, syempre, mas mamamotivate yung staff, kasi they won't be held accountable for something that they shouldn't be held responsible for, okay? Kung ano lang yung responsibility talaga nila, edi yun yung magiging basis on evaluating that. Ayan. If the cost object is not profitable, the company can evaluate the performance of the staff members to determine if a decline in productivity is the cause of the non-profitability of the cost objects. Tapos, the company can also recognize and reward specific departments for achieving the highest profitability in the company. The employees assigned to that department will be motivated to work hard and continue with their good performance. Kasi nga, maayos yung basis ng performance. So, ayun lang yung sa article. Punta na tayo dun sa example ng cost allocation. Okay, so dito sa example natin, we have 3 products, product A, B, and C. Okay? Tapos, dalawang methods yung ipapakita natin. Una yung traditional costing, and then the second one is the activity-based costing. Right? Between the two, itong traditional costing, it's very convenient to use. Madali siyang gamitin, madali siyang i-apply. But for the most part, hindi ganun ka-accurate yung cost na na-allocate sa product. Kasi itong traditional costing, ang basis niya for allocating the overhead is direct labor hours. Okay? Bibilangin kung ilang direct labor hours ang nagamit for the cost objects or itong products natin. Tapos, yun yung magiging basis. Okay? For example, itong si product A, ang na-produce na units, 10,000 units. Product B, 5,000. Product C, 2,000. Tapos yung direct materials nila, ito, direct labor. Ayan. Normally, itong direct materials, direct labor, there's no need to allocate this kasi nga ito ay direct, so it's properly identified on which product sila nagamit. Okay? Direct materials and direct labor. Ngayon, itong overhead, kasi nga normally, pang kalahatan siya, enterprise-wide or organization-wide siyang nai-incur. And sometimes, ginagamit din siya dun sa pagproduce ng products A, B, and C. Pero kumbaga, hindi mo properly ma-identify na maayos kung ilan or how much ang, na-incur for those particular products. Ayan. So, sa traditional costing, ang ginagamit na basis ay direct labor hours nga. So, for example, itong si product A, to produce product A, isang unit is gumagamit ng 0.25 hours or 15 minutes. Sorry. So, since 15 minutes or, quarter of an hour times 10,000 units, so in total, gumastos yung company ng gumamit yung company ng 2,500 hours to produce this much product A. Okay? Tapos yung product B naman, to produce 1 unit, gumagamit ang company ng 3/4 of an hour or 45 minutes or 75% of an hour. So yung total hours niya to produce the 5,000 units of product B is 3,750 hours. Tapos itong si product C, 2,000 units. Pero para makapag-produce ng isang unit, gumagamit sila ng 1.5 hour. Okay? So yung total hours na ginamit to produce the 2,000 units of product C ay 3,000 hours. Okay? So i-total mo tong tatlong to, 9,250 siya. So bali yung allocation kasi na mangyayari, tinatotal dito sa traditional costing yung overhead cost. So, ito, machinery 1, 100,000 ginagamit sa kanya, nagastos sa pag-ooperate ng machinery 1. And then you have your equipment 1, gumastos ang company ng 80,000 to operate that. And then setup 1, you have 10,000, rent 50,000, and then you have your personnel, may mga indirect na taong gumagalaw dun sa manufacturing. So total is 300,000 pesos. Okay? So, itong 300,000 pesos na to, i-allocate on the basis of the direct labor hours. Paano ang computation? For product A, it's 300,000 times 2,500 divided by the total DLH na 9,250. Okay? So, ang amount, 81,081. Etong si product B, computation niya, so yung overhead natin, total overhead, 300,000 times the DLH na ginamit for product B, 3,750 divided by the total DLH, 9,250. Okay? For product C, same process. Computation, 300,000 times 3,000 divided by 9,250. Okay? So, ito yung allocated overhead cost for product A, product B, and product C. So, para makuha yung total cost nila, ito lang, direct materials, direct labor, and then yung allocated overhead cost for them. Okay, so si product A, total cost niya is 362,000, product B, 569,000, product C, 487,000. So, para makuha mo yung per unit cost niya, edi itong total cost, i-divide mo lang dun sa unit na na-produce. Okay? So, 362,000 divided by 10,000, ang per unit niya is 36.21. Etong per unit, magagamit mo to to determine kung anong price mo siya dapat ibenta. So, syempre, hindi dapat bababa sa cost of production yung price, di ba? So, kung 36.21, ibebenta mo siya dapat at a much higher price para kumita yung company. Si product B, total cost niya, 569 divided by 5,000 units na na-produce. So, ang per unit niya is 113.82. Tapos si product C, 487,000 ang total cost divided by the units produced na 2,000. So, 243 pesos and 65 cents. Okay? So, kapag magsaset ng price, kailangan ay mas mataas dito. Okay? But this is under traditional costing. So, again, this is not very reliable compared to activity-based costing. Okay, so dito sa activity-based costing, kaya siya kinoconsider na, more reliable way of allocating the cost kasi nga, kinoconsider niya yung cost drivers. Ano yung cost drivers? For example, sa machinery 1, you have product A, product B, product C. Siyempre, hindi naman sila pare-pareho na, gaano sila katagal gumamit ng machinery 1, right? So, dito, ina-identify yon. Ito lang yung, kumbaga, hindi naman disadvantage, pero in a way, burden ng activity-based costing. Medyo matrabaho siya kasi you have to identify these activities, these figures. Kailangan mo siyang i-monitor so that you can have these as basis in allocating the overhead. Okay? So, for, kunwari, machinery 1, si product A, let's say, gumastos lang siya ng 1,000 hours para ma-produce yung 10,000 units niya. Tapos si product B, gumamit siya ng machinery ng 2,000 hours para ma-produce yung kanyang 5,000 units. Si product C, gumamit siya ng 500 hours ng machinery 1 para ma-produce yung kanyang 2,000 units. Okay? So, ganun yung example. Tapos for equipment 1, ganun din, i-identify gaano katagal na ginamit ni product A, 500 hours, product B, 3,000 hours, product C, 200 hours. Okay? Tapos setup, product A, nakalimang setup, product B, 3 setup, product C, 1 setup. Ayan. Sa rent, okay, let's say ito yung kanilang, what do you call that, space, let's say square meters ito. So, si product A, nag-occupy siya ng 1,000 square meters, product B, 500 square meters, product C, 200 square meters. Ayan. Tapos yung personnel, merong isa na naka-assign, normally naka-assign sa product A. Tapos sa product B, normally naka-assign dalawa, product C, isa. Ayan. So, ganyan. So, pag inallocate yung overhead, yung individual overhead cost, syempre, i-allocate mo siya based dun sa kanyang relevant cost driver. Okay? So, for machinery 1, at 100,000, allocate mo siya using this. Okay? So, for product A, 100,000 times 1,000 divided by 3,500. Product B, 100,000 times 2,000 divided by 3,500 na total equals 57,000. Ganyan. Product C, same process, 100,000 times 500 divided by the total machinery hours, 3,500. Ayan. So, ganun lang yung process. Ano? So, if for equipment, ganun din. 80,000 times 500 over 3,700. Product B, 80,000 times 3,000 over 3,700. Product C, 80,000 times 200 over 3,700. Okay? And so on until dito sa setup, rent, and personnel. Okay? So, pag kinapit yung total cost, ayan na siya. Makikita natin si Product A, 370,000. Product B, 617. Product C, 430. Compare natin siya dun sa kabila. Okay? Makita natin, di ba? May difference. Significant difference. Okay? 362 dito sa kabila, 370 pala yung cost niya talaga. Product B, 569 dito sa kabila, 617 pala. Okay, yung more reliable or more accurate figure. Ano? Tapos sa product B, 487. Pagdating dito sa kabila, 430 lang pala. Okay? So, pag tinignan mo yung per unit cost, ayan, si product A, understated or undercosted, ano, kasi 36.21, dapat 37.03 pala yung kanyang nagiging basis, ano, yung kanyang per unit cost. Tapos si product B, 113, dun sa traditional, pero sa activity-based costing is 123. O, biruin mo kung itong 113 na to, binenta mo for 120 pesos. Okay? Tapos, ma-realize mo later, 123 pala yung accurate cost niya. Okay? So, lugi ka pa. Tapos, itong si product C, 243, dito sa activity-based costing is 215 pesos lang pala. Okay? Kaya ka nagtataka, may competitor kayo, na i-ibenta tong product C for, yung similar product nila, for, let's say, 220. Okay? Pero ikaw kanina, di ba, 243. Binibenta nyo ng 250. Kaya hindi kayo makahikayat ng clients kasi masyadong mahal yung benta nyo ng product C. Eh, yung mga competitors nyo, mura lang ang benta. Kasi mura lang naman, mas mura naman pala talaga yung pagkakagawa ni product C. Diba? From 243, yung accurate cost niya is 215 lang pala. Okay? So, yun yung mga nagiging, issues and benefit ng paggamit ng activity-based costing. Alright? So, ayun lang naman, normally. Hopefully, na sundan nyo kung paano yung pag-compute ng total cost, ng per unit cost na naging basis for setting ng prices. Tapos, syempre, you have your pagsaset ng price, di ba? Syempre, yun yung magiging basis nyo for the revenue. Let's say, naibenta nyo to lahat for a good price, edi yung total revenue nyo, tapos you just have to absorb the cost. Ayan, so makikita nyo kung profitable ba or nag-perform na maayos yung department nyo. Okay? So, ayan lang naman for this one. So, again, we've discussed cost allocation. Alright? Thanks and bye.